time.
All right, we back. It's another episode of Another Bad Podcast. I'm your host, Paya Palomanu. As always, thank you to the listeners that tune in every episode because I need y'all. I'm nothing without y'all. I'm just talking to myself. And to any new listeners, please go subscribe on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Netflix, Amazon Prime. I'm everywhere now. But please subscribe, man, because I need all the subscribers I can get so I can give you all this dope content. Today, I got a special guest. I got a real special guest. He's not homeless, guys. He's in the house. You can see him on his camera. Problem solvers. Hey, and plus, we gotta plug your brand, Problem Solvers. But I grew up with this guy. I've known this guy since I know this guy used to tease me for not having Jordans. That's how long I've known TC. So Terrence Clark, introduce yourself.
Yo, I'm TC, man. He's lying. I never teased him for not having
This
Jordans.
guy
Anyway,
did tease me for not having the new J's.
But anyway, back to what he's talking about, man. I'm just around, good friend. We go way back, and we're gonna drop off some great content today.
All right, man. Tell people where you located.
All right, so I'm out in North Carolina now. I've been here for like 5 years. I'm never coming back to the East Coast. You see me when you see me. I'm in and out when I come back.
Jesus Christ, never? Like, is that bad up here? We're that bad?
Bro, yesterday it was 70 degrees here. So, I mean.
Okay, it is that bad. It's fucking 40 right now.
It was 70 degrees. I could light up my grill yesterday if I wanted to. So, yeah, East Coast, I'd be in and out. Usually even now when I come home, I'm there for like a day or so and I get out of there.
I'll be remiss to ask, since it's your background, explain what Problem Solvers is.
So Problem Solvers is something that I don't know. I woke up and stumbled upon this idea that every single aspect of business is problem solving. So problem solvers get paid. It's just saying that whoever could solve the problem is the person who's going to get paid, and it's just something that I took it and I ran with it. It sounded catchy. We came up with a quick little graphic and me and my sister, my sister's a graphic designer.
Yeah.
We came up with that in 2 weeks, and then next thing you know, people was really messing with it. So we just put some merch out there. I started my own podcast, bringing other business-minded, small business entrepreneurs.
Never invited me.
I'm only on episode 10, y'all, or 12. My goodness. Yo, damn.
Shout out to Monty, shout out AC, shout out Mom, shout out Pops. I mean, the whole family. It really is. I really haven't known this guy that long. Go ahead.
But yeah, so that's all it is. It's just a reminder. I still have my other brand, but I've had brands, and I just believe if you're gonna wear merchandise, if you're gonna be paying money for merchandise, if you're gonna be a walking billboard for somebody, let it be something that you stand behind, something that it stamps you as a person. So that's all.
So you like Junior Master P?
Shit, I'm trying. That's my idol, though. Oh, Master P is the superhero to me.
You'll have
no
noodles and
everything.
Hey,
everything.
Master P has this funny ass quote, but it's a fact. He said, he said, nothing wrong with having a team. He said, but invest in brands. It was with Snoop. And Snoop was like, why? He said, brands don't talk back. He said, they don't talk back to you. He said, brands don't ask you, hey, when we going to the club, I need some money. Can you borrow? He said, they'll call you up at night and say, hey, man, my rent needs to be paid. He said, brand, you could throw it, slap it everywhere. He said, invest in brands. He said, like you said, why? If you're good at eat a cup of noodles, and if I have the resources to make it myself, why not make my own brand? So I definitely understand that.
Yeah, big time for me, man. Master P is big time.
But keeping it on the money wave, that's one of the reasons I brought you on the show. Otherwise, of course, being my friend. So problem solvers, going into, I guess you want to say money management, because obviously you say a podcast, I know of it, and I know you're big on, I guess I'll say financial education, just if I want to do a rough summarization.
That's probably the best way to put it too, bro, because I am, for anybody who's listening, I'm deeply involved into real estate. Real estate is my everyday thing. So as a 9 to 5, I work as a property manager for a family real estate company. And then I'm also a realtor. So I help people buy and sell real estate. The only thing that's different about me than your average realtor is my preference is not to deal with people who are looking for their dream home. I prefer to work with people who are who are investor minded. So even if it's a primary residence, even if it's something that you're going to live in, attack it as more of an investment as opposed to that thing that you have to have. You got to have a big bathroom to this, to that. And I definitely want to work with the people who are investor mindset, because when you look at financial education and financial literacy, your house is one of your biggest hacks. You know what I mean? And if you do it right, it could set you up for a really long time. And that's very important to me, given like, you know, where we live at. We live in a place where it's, a lot of people feel a certain type of way about racism, oppression, and those type of things. And I feel like the biggest combat, don't get me wrong, no knock to anybody who's out here like protesting and really doing at it on the social justice front, but I really believe in it's got to be economics. It got to be financial. If you have people who feel like they're better than you, there's got to be some type of metric that they're using to rank it. And so we live in capitalism. And so to me, it can
100%.
only be based off of resources. And while that individual may not have more resources than you as an individual, what they're saying, white people or whoever, they're saying that as a whole, those people have more resources. And that's not necessarily false. And it's also don't mean that they should be treating you any type of way. But if we want to play their game, then let's just level up on that side of the fence so that there's no room for discussion.
No, that's a fact. I mean, look, Hope said it best. Financial freedom is our only hope, and that comes with you have to learn your finances. You gotta learn your money. You gotta learn how to move in this game. I hate to use Hove lyrics. And Hove lyrics is like life. Like you gotta learn how to move in these rooms full of vultures. And the only way to learn is you gotta play. So you gotta play their game, learn their methods, and attack it the same way, if not better. And I actually agree with you. It's funny you brought up a good point. Like when they talk about lower class, because I'm big on that too. I tell people all the time, I don't even think things are, not to say racism is not real. I'm not dismissing it. At least I'm not. I speak for myself here. But I always think, I'm like, things are way more on class than ever. I'm like, money is the language people speak. And that's how they would determine. And it feels like even more now than ever. It's like white, black, Chinese, whatever. If you're poor or you're broke, they're going to treat you like that. If you have the money, oh, you're going to walk into the room there. They're gonna perk up a little bit. Listen to what you got to say. Now, obviously, digging down, we're not gonna go all deep. It's just like, of course, we dig down. That's the point. The racial component with the resources that they haven't been spread properly to all of us, especially black people. So, hence, that's where we are now. But I'm with you. Like, we have enough stuff online. There's books. There's YouTube. There's podcasts like yours. There's Earn Your Leisure. There's enough stuff right now where you can at least, even if you don't have the money, you can get your mind right. And that's the first step anyway. You gotta get your mind right. So when you do get the money, you act accordingly. You don't just go out and buy some sneaks, or you buy the big dream house when you can maybe buy a cheap ass duplex or something. I don't know. But
Facts.
So going to you like money. What are you investing in right now? You sound like you said real estate, so I feel like you already answered it, but I'm gonna ask you anyway.
Yeah, I mean, so those are like the pillars, like real estate, stocks, and I'm not on any type of way a guru in any of those things, but in terms of trying to expand my knowledge base, is real estate, stocks, and then the one that I think is not talked about enough in this sense is just like yourself and your own businesses, like yourself in terms of your education. It's one thing to have the knowledge, but you got to execute on that knowledge. But you can't execute on anything that you don't know. So go pick up books, listen to podcasts, put yourself in rooms around people that know something. And that a lot of times that stuff isn't cheap. So it comes with an investment. Like I've paid thousands of dollars to be in a room with other people who I may not have even personally known, but they may have had something that I took away. And usually every time I go to a seminar or something like that, I'm always grabbing more than what I spent in information. If it's $1,000, I probably made 10 times that on the information that I took from there. So investing in yourself, and then also investing in your business. Like ownership on many fronts is the real key. Like you could like, for instance, I'll give you an example. Like right now I'm a real estate agent. My license is hung with EXP Realty. For a lot of people who don't know what EXP Realty is, just like a Keller Williams, a Remax, something like that. Except for it's cloud-based and it's agent owned. So it's publicly traded on the stock on NASDAQ, but I could own shares of the company. So that's my ownership. Like I take a lot of pride in that company because I own shares of the company, and that's allowed me to have a huge gain in 2020. So It's all about ownership, man. That's really the financial part of it. And in terms of investing, that's what I'm really into: is stocks, real estate, myself, and personal development, and then my businesses. I also have vending machines, so I will put that in like aside, like my businesses. I think that was just something it was an opportunity that I just tried it, man. Like one thing about me is I'm not scared to shoot. Sometimes you just try some shit, see how it works.
Damn, you hustling. The vending machine. I gotta give me a vending machine. But now with the real estate game, how would you describe it in your eyes? Is it the glitz and the glamour, or is there a lot more going into it besides, I should say, I'm gonna buy this property, I'm gonna flip it, or I'm gonna buy this property, I'm gonna rent it. Like basically, I guess, is there more, or is it what it seems?
It's so much more, bro, because a lot of times to get into real estate or to even execute the right strategy to get the results that you want, you got to know what you're going after. You know what I mean? Like some people, let's say like you have two people. Some people, let's say, as an employee, the other guy's like doing this as he wants this to be his business. The employee that's a 9 to 5, they're going to have a complete different investment strategy than the guy who's making real estate his business. So like, if you don't know what your strategy is, if you don't know what you're trying to accomplish, you may get in a situation where then you get turned off because it didn't work for you how you wanted it to, but you never even went about it in the right way to begin with. You know what I mean? So a lot of people get stuck on that. I know a lot of people like, you want to get rentals, you know, you want to do this, you want to do that, but not understanding there's so much more to it than just, oh, let me buy a house, you put a tenant in it, and then it's all good and gravy from there. Or I'm gonna buy this house that's fucked up, and I'm gonna fix it up, and I'm gonna sell it for a profit. There's so much more that goes into it than that. So like, you really gotta be diligent. You really gotta put yourself around people that have done it before. I think, you know, a big thing that hurts people like trying to get started is a scarcity mindset, thinking that, yo, I can't ask the next person for help because, you know, they're going to take from me or whatever. Like when I was getting started, when I started, one of the first deals I ever did, bro, I skipped the process just so I could link with somebody to thinking that they was going to be able to help me. And I paid for it. I'm sure I could have made more money, but I was able to take some information from there to where it made the next 2 and 3 deals a lot easier. So, you know, link up with people who know. I mean, don't find people. You know, I think a lot of times we look at people and we say, oh, you know, they're not approachable, or they probably wouldn't answer me, or I mean, just hit people up, try to have conversation. You never know. Like somebody like me, if you start talking to me about business and real estate, you're not even gonna have to ask me for the information because I want to give it to you. Yeah, you feel me? I want to talk about it. So you're not even doing nothing. Like you're not being a nuisance like how you think you may be, but you gotta put yourself out there for real.
Give us a you have rental units, right? You have people in the rental.
Yeah.
Give us give us some shit that you had to learn, some fuck ups, and also give us, you know, what your biggest advice would be towards if that's what you're interested in.
So the fuck ups on the rental side, they usually come at 2 different times. They usually come before you even buy the property, or they come when with tenant screening. So like I'll talk about the first part, like buying a property. A lot of people think, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy this house. It's 30,000. I could rent it for 800, and the mortgage is 3, and that's cool. Okay, so you go ahead, you ran all your numbers, and you feel confident moving forward. So you go ahead and you do the deal. But what you didn't figure out prior to signing all that paperwork is you didn't run any inspections on the hot water heater, on the HVAC system, on the electrical system, on the plumbing. So you thinking you get in this house that you ready cash flow $400-500, and third month. So let's say you make it to 3 months, you saved up $1,200 from cash flow, and now your AC goes out. That's $5 to $7 grand. You know what I mean? That you could have prevented that had you took your time in the beginning and inspected those systems. A lot of people, you know, a lot of these educations, because they're talking about property that's so cheap, they're not really talking to you about the inspection period and what you really should be looking for in the inspection period. But the inspection period, you definitely want to look out for all your major things. So like your roof, your electrical, your plumbing, and then your major systems. Like that stuff will eat a hole in your pocket. Like this shit crazy, bro. Like it's really crazy. Like, and especially because, you know, these systems they're operating a lot of times is based off of how the tenant is using them. So like If a tenant is running the system
I didn't think about that.
nonstop and your
Yeah.
system is okay, but it's not new or whatever, that's going to really, that could mess up your system.
It can only go down. It can only, yeah, I get what you're saying. It's not like it's going to stay perfect.
Exactly. So you got that. And then as far as the tenant side, because everybody is taking these courses about, it's a strategy called BRRRR. So that's buying, you'll buy, you'll renovate, what is it? Buy, renovate, refinance, and repeat, or something like that. So basically what they're teaching you to do is buy a property that's distressed, fix it up, refinance it, take the equity out, and then go do it again. And because they're doing that, what's happening are people are taking on these debt obligations. So you're taking on a mortgage, right? Because you've pulled money out.
Okay.
So your mortgage is higher than what it would have been had you just kept it how it was.
Yeah, because you pulled the equity. Yeah.
Because you pulled the equity. So what happens is people now have these larger mortgages, and because they got to hurry up and put a tenant in there so that they can have their overhead covered, they're skipping some of the processes in terms of bringing a tenant in. So your background check may not be all that. You may have not qualified your tenant as good as you could on the income side. They could be really struggling to meet just to pay their rent. You know what I mean? Stuff like that, to where if you are forced to move quickly and you get a bad tenant with evictions and stuff like that that's going on now, you will be stuck. You could be stuck without money for 6-7 months. And if you're relying on that person to pay your mortgage and they don't, they're not the persons that getting stuff on their credit for late mortgage payments and all that. That's all you. So like, that's some of the stuff that people don't talk about when you talk about picking up these properties. Like, there's a lot of things that you should go through and make sure that you got multiple exit strategies. I said that's probably one of the biggest problems with new investors is they don't have multiple exit strategies. If one don't work, I need to know how am I going to change this situation if it gets in the worst case scenario. So that definitely will minimize the risk and help people have more successful time in real estate for sure.
So I would guess on a back end, those are the things that you take serious. Like when you have your property, it's the tenant screening and it's your check of the property. It's like, is it worth? I gotta make sure I put my money into this. It's at least has a high chance of working out, I should say.
The thing is, like, with those inspections and things, like, people get so worried about the inspection, thinking like, oh, well, what if this is wrong? If it is, let's say you spent a couple of dollars in due diligence or whatever. Yeah, like, for me, I try to explain to people, like, you're much better off losing a couple $100 in the beginning than to lose thousands on the back. Like, take your 150. Time. Like, like, I mean, it's crazy, bro, because we live in, and it's not no different. Like, it's a lot of investors out there. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of competition. So in that era, we watch people really like speed through the process just to get these deals that sometimes you done went so fast, it's not even a deal no more because you missed a major part of the process. So yeah, that's definitely something that I'm locked in on, and I make sure that all my clients are locked in on, that we ask all the right questions, that we get all the right disclosures and all the proper materials so they can make the most informed decisions.
Any tenant horror stories?
Bro, the worst horror stories that I got, no lie, the worst. All right, so I'm gonna give you two stories. The first story I'm gonna tell you about how I inherited a property of a tenant who was committing fraud, bro, and I had never collected a penny of rent. I couldn't get into the unit, and COVID hit, so I couldn't evict. So, bro, it was like a snowball, like, and I'm literally watching bread every month, like, not be collected. And so, like, that was crazy. It's funny, my dad works at collections. Don't y'all kill me. My dad works for nagging, like student loans and shit. So don't kill me. It's not me, and I can't do nothing for you about them student loans. But yeah, like, so I figured out it was a little fishy. So I done tracked the person down. I found out like it was a son and a son committing fraud on his father. I got the dad involved, like, and it was a nightmare, but we got it taken care of. And then I say like the worst thing about being a landlord though, bro, is everybody's urgent is not your urgent. So like,
yeah, I've heard that before.
So I give you a perfect example. 3 weeks ago, I had a tenant that was blowing me up like 12 a.m. at night, like blowing me up on a Saturday, bro. Like, I'm out, like, I'm trying to like relax with my family. Like, we sitting out back and they're calling. I finally answer like, hello. She's like, yeah, I hear a mouse in my apartment. I'm like, what? Like, ma'am, that's not an emergency. Like, if it's not an emergency, you need to submit a work order. So like, to be able to like control their expectations, that's about the worst of the worst. Like for me, is like controlling a tenant's expectations. They really assume that every problem they have is like, should be like your number. Yeah, it should be like your number one priority. And I had to just explain to people like, that's why you rent, because it's not the fact that these things are a priority, but you don't want to have to deal with them. And you're still not, because I'm still going to take care of it, but I'm going to take care of it in a timely fashion when, I'm not calling and breaking my contractor's back to come and do something that's not an emergency. He'll get to it when he get to it. But like managing those expectations is probably like the craziest thing that I really deal with for real.
That's I can only imagine. Always one thing I can say, man, I can only imagine dealing with multiple tenants and dealing with different personalities at all times. And I've read before, that's why tenant screening is important, to try to at least try to even out some of that shit. I can I'm only laughing because I'm just imagining somebody calling me in the middle of the night. Like, I'll be like, come on, man, like your heater didn't break, the roof, like it's not a hole in the roof, like it's gotta be something of, like, you call me at night, like it's gotta be something like that. Like, I got broke into. All right, we there.
Like, I'm a nice guy, bro. Like, I'm genuinely, like, I know, like, I may be more on the serious side. Like, I may not always be laughing and joking, but I'm usually like a pretty nice guy. Like, if you got a problem, I'm gonna talk to you. We're gonna have like cordial conversation. But like, there's just been a couple of times where they have brought like the mean, like, bully person out of me. I'm like, yo, are you serious? Like, are you really, like, for real? Like, I tell these tenants all the time, like, yo, stop. Don't talk to me like that. Like, you may be used to these like big box companies where these people are like they fear for their job. And I'm not in that position of fearing for my job. So like, if you don't come to me correct, then
it's gonna make your situation harder.
And I'm not gonna help you. You feel me? Like, I tell people this all the time. Like, if you go crazy when you need help on the people that's supposed to help you, don't expect them to move any faster or do anything that's in your benefit. If you start slower. Yeah, you feel me? You start tweaking off on me on something that I really could make a very easy problem. I'm just gonna take my time. It's not that I'm not gonna do it, because I'm not a slumlord, bro. I'm not about to be making people uncomfortable just for the fuck of it. I don't think that's cool. And plus, I don't think anybody and I speak for the landlords who actually hear people talking about slumlords, like, that's not in the best interest of business. Like, it's not in the best interest of business to be a slumlord. All you deal with is complaints and phone calls and nasty shit all day. It's better just to be a good landlord. It's better just to take care of your people. But the people got to remember, like, yo, this is a partnership. It's not I don't work for you. Like, when something happens, I'm going to come and fulfill my obligation, but we're a partnership. And so you're not going to talk to me any type of way.
Yeah,
like, that's,
Respect, respect gets respect, period.
Right.
That's pretty simple. Well, we know TC's not a slumlord. You guys can rate him at the Better Business Bureau as an A+. We're going to move on to something else, some more adult conversations, because unfortunately we're all adults and we pay bills. Fatherhood, man. We both similar, are new fathers of newborns. I wouldn't say they're newborns, but you know what I mean.
They're younger.
New kids, new bills. But you have some experience helping raise another child also. So the first thing I want to get into is fatherhood. How did having that how did it change you? How did it change your outlook?
So I'm gonna take it from the step parent side first, right? Because I think that's going to be a lot more relatable for a lot of people. I don't know how many young women now don't even have kids. Like, I think it's a lot 100%. And a lot of the good women too. A lot of the good women have kids. So like, from a step parent type of thing is, I couldn't have my lady without having her child. So like, going into it, I knew that was something that was on the table. You feel me? Like, I knew that was going to be something I was going to have to accept. And like, the biggest thing for me going through that whole transition that whole situation was I had dealt with that as a child. You feel me? It was a point in time, my parents was divorced for 10 years before they had gotten remarried. But there's a point in time, I don't know if you remember Big Steve, remember he used to make them wings and shit?
Yeah.
Yo, those Tyson Jones, they was hitting back then.
Hey, he snapped. He snapped with the wings.
Yo, he snapped with the wings. But I had went through that. So like going through it with my own situation, I just always wanted it to be clear, like, yo, I'm not here to compete with her dad. You feel me? Like her dad is who her dad is, and he do a good job. He do what he's supposed to do. So like, I don't have no reason to be out here like, I'm not doing that. You feel me? I know that that's not even a battle I could ever win. And so it's best to just let my child know, because I treat her like she's mine. I claim her like she's mine, and no disrespect to her dad, but you know what I mean? That's how I got to look at it to make sure that, you know, I stay consistent. Like, so with that being said, it's always been to try to figure out how can I best support in these situations. Like even some things where like it may require like a father figure or a father to do certain things, I will always try to leave it to, all right, let me let him try to have that stage to be able to be who he's supposed to be. And so that doesn't contradict. All I have to do is just support. So we all got, you know, it's a pretty good situation. We won't have no drama, no beef or nothing like that. So it helps. It helps too. And I would say like that's probably one of the best things about being a step parent in my situation is there is no drama and no beef from the other party. So it makes it very easy to be in a child's life and be there genuinely without any hidden agendas or any like, you know, awkward feelings. So,
I think you touch on it. I mean, obviously we'll get to it anyway, but bringing it up, I think honestly, that's a huge important topic, especially you said nowadays, like how many women and men, included young adults, when I have children nowadays, like there was a time probably maybe in the 90s, I guess, or maybe in the 80s, I guess, when it was like, oh, you have a kid, maybe it's a little more rare. Now it's like most women at least 25 and up, they have fell in love once or twice and they might have a kid. And being a step parent, now that I've experienced, it's important. It's like you just mentioned, it's a delicate balance. You know, like you said, when do I step in and probably be more of a fatherly role, if the father is there, of course, and when do I need to step back? And obviously, I know it's something that takes a learning process every day. We both know raising kids is a process every day; it never ends. But I think that's important for the people to know, because I can only speak for my dating life now. You know, I have a child, so if I date a woman without a child or she has a child, either way, I know what I'm looking at. It's like, you know, eventually I'm gonna have a woman in my life that's gonna have to be comfortable around for my daughter, and my daughter's gonna be comfortable with her, and then we're gonna have to work that part out, as how, you know, that meshes with her mother and vice versa. You know, when her mother starts to date and she has a dude around my dad's like, I'm not gonna be corny and be like, I don't want to do, you know what I'm saying, you guys sleep in the room together. Like, come on, we're adults. Like, I'm gonna have to do the same thing, and I would hope he's mature enough that we can meet on a level that works. You know what I mean? So I think that's important.
Bro, we never had no conversation. Like me and the father, we never had no like, yo, this is what it's gonna be. It wasn't any of that. I would say though, for anybody that's about to go into that situation, it probably wouldn't be a bad thing if both men can be like mature to have a conversation, because if you don't, because one thing that was happening like in the beginning, like, is other people were talking. Other people were other people's opinions. You know what I'm saying? Other people's opinion.
You start to hear so many other voices.
Exactly, bro.
And you don't even know if there are problems with that, but the voices. So now it creates that
animosity. It was creating static when there really never had to be any static. So like you talked about, is like, yo, what type of like stepfather would I be, or how would I be with like my child having a stepfather? It's like, for me, one thing that made it very simple was off the strength of, yo, I know that I'm not going to put your child in harm's way. Like I'm going to treat your child the same way I would treat mine, in terms of I'm going to give him everything I got from me. I'm not going to let nothing happen to him. Like I'm going to go all out. So at the end of the day, at least it's somebody solid that's around your child. Yeah. You feel me? Like, and that's how I would try to look at it on any front, because otherwise, especially if you're not going to keep the woman, you feel me? Like, what's the alternative? It's definitely not in their advantage to not have a father figure in the house. You see what I'm saying? So you can't chase everybody off. And if you're not going to be with that woman and accept that responsibility and what comes with that relationship, then, you know what I mean, you kind of at an impasse. So you got to like pick and choose. So like, if it was me, I'm going to pick, let me at least if it's going to be somebody around my child, at least let me hope that it's somebody that's super solid, that's like, you know, is a solid person. So I think that's how we all should be looking at it. And I think as our generation starts becoming the old heads, I think it'll start getting to a point where you could be a little bit more casual with those situations. Like, you don't gotta be looking around. Like, I think even like, I think back in like when you look about like how people perceive shit and like perception, I think some dudes thought it was like soft to be like cool with your
things have changed dramatically. It's when it's like you bought. I mean, that's a good point to bring up too. Like, times have evolved into the, like I said, like I kind of brought that up. Like, you know, back maybe 20 years ago, like you said, based somebody with a kid, it was like you said, I don't even know if it was soft. It was seen as like it's automatically gonna be static. Like if I date this girl with a kid, me and her baby dad go fight. Like it was just automatically red flags. But like you said, nowadays it's so, one, it's just so much more usual for people to have children, and then two, we get into that, it's a new generation where it's us, it's the generation behind us. It's a new form of adult, and we are automatically just more prone to what the world is, whether it's music wise, relationship wise, all this stuff. So it's like it's become more like, hey, I don't really need to argue with you if I don't like. Should we just, you know what I mean? Now we don't gotta be besties. I'm we gotta go on vacation. We don't have to be the Smiths, but we can be, you know, we can get along. And I do think as time evolves, like you said, it's only, I think it's only gonna get better. I agree. I wouldn't see a world where it gets worse.
Facts.
Speaking of, so not to make anything less of your stepdaughter, you know, because she's your daughter too, but having your son when you had him, you know, that's you. So what was that like? We all have it. So I just want to hear from your words. How did it like hit you?
So like you think hearing the words that like you're about to have a child like changes you. Like I never forget. Like it's funny because I actually, if I could call my former coworkers, they'll tell you like, yo, I came in one day, I was like, yo, I swear I think my girl is pregnant. Like, yo, she's pregnant. Like I kept saying it all day. Went home and sure enough that day she's like, oh, surprise. Like, and you think that changes you right then and there. So like you go through it like, oh yeah, I gotta work hard, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. But the real change don't come till you standing in that room. Till you standing in that room and the baby is born. Like I can honestly say, bro, I literally felt a change through a shift throughout my whole body, like an out of body experience when like he was actually born. Like when he actually came out and they said your son has arrived at this time, that it literally was like a out of body experience to be like, yo, I'm really a dad. Like it's really somebody else here that I'm responsible for. Like it's
terrifying. It was terrifying.
Yo, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. Like you start thinking about everything. Like it was like just stuff I didn't want to do. Like freaking myself out. Like, oh, I can't eat this. I gotta be around for my kid. Or I can't do this. Like I gotta be for my son. Like does everything just be like weird like that? Like you literally. But it's like weird in a good way, but you realize that you probably take it a little overboard in the beginning, like overboard, like super overboard, like, oh, I'm not eating this, I'm not even doing that, I'm not getting on the road. Safe. Yeah, like, so like that, it's a super, super change. But I can tell you, like, from perspective of a step parent, what it also meant for me is I had to double down on like being a stepfather, right? Because at this point, my daughter knows that it's another child, right? She knows that I'm not her dad, so she knows it's a different relationship between my son and me and her and me. So I gotta double down and make sure that she never could get in any type of situation where she feels like, oh, he treats Legend better than me. You know what I mean?
Important. So wow,
it was different. It was a different it was a little shift. And that's why even like some of the parenting stuff, like I even like with my daughter, I have to like kind of let her mom handle it because I have to really protect our relationship to a different level because there's other things that play into it.
That's so important.
Yeah, bro. Because think about it. You know what I mean? Especially because he's a baby, so she may not even understand. Like right now, she's only 9, 10, mm-hmm. So she may not even understand that, okay, the attention that he's getting and drawing is because he's a child. Yeah, it's not because he's my son and
he can't even do nothing for himself.
Exactly.
We gotta keep our eyes on him.
So it's just like paying attention to all that stuff, and then just, you know what I mean, like trying to go out my way to like have conversations where it's just me and her. So we could just talk and we could vibe and there's nobody else around. So it's just, I mean, so try to keep that balance for real.
Yo, when my daughter was so like you said, the whole time you think you got a little change, you don't have it. Like it doesn't hit you. Me and my baby mom weren't together, so I was still going out. I was having fun. Like I was still like, it was on my radar. It was like, hey, a kid's gonna be coming in 6 months, 7, 5 months, 4 months. Oh, we're here. Like so, we're there. Then eventually in the hospital. I'll never forget. I went to Fridays like 2 hours before my daughter was born. Like I had to kind of gather because we didn't know. Obviously, I didn't know she'd come in 2 hours, but they were about to induce later that day, and I was just like, all right. I was like, you need something to eat, and she was like, yeah, I think it's all right. And so I went and got her eating. I stopped at Fridays, and I was sitting at the bar. I had like 2 Long Islands and a salad. I just was like, man, this is gonna be my last meal as like no kids or whatever. So we get back. I never got to sit down. They're like, oh, she's going to labor. So movement happens. The baby, my daughter's born. So right then and there, you're like, whoa, like there's a human being here that I'm gonna have to like take care. Like if they don't turn out right, it's my fucking fault. I'm the piece of shit dad. Like you know what I'm saying. So y'all better like they can't become a serial killer. They got to go to school. Like you see, you're thinking of all this shit that doesn't even matter at this point. Like I got to do this and that, and it hit me. So my out of body experience, because that was just me kind of stressing, but my out of body, the one you're talking about, came. So when they bring the baby in, I think they bring them either after a day or after 2. They let you because they'll bring them in for a couple hours and they'll take them back. But then I think after our first night, they let her sleep with us. So she's sleeping. She starts crying in the middle of the night, and she's obviously she just had a baby. She's out of her. So I'm like, I have to do some fatherly shit. And that was the moment I was like, oh my God. Like, so it was nuts, but it's beautiful at the same time. But yeah, you're like, I'm somebody's daddy now. Like,
Bro, it's like all of it. And it's crazy because like literally, I grew up to be somebody who like, I think likes to reflect. Like I'm a reflective person. I like to sit sometimes and just think. And so like, sitting here and thinking like about like pregnancy, it's just like so crazy to know like, yo, in 9 months, this little person was like created, like sit here and then watch him be born, watch everything. So like, it's like literally been the biggest blessing to be a dad, like from day one. Like, don't get me wrong, like being a dad with my daughter, we met when she was 3. So certain things she had already, I had missed so much up to 3, but like seeing it from day one, like the first words, the crawling to the walking, it's been such a blessing, bro. It's been literally the best thing that ever happened to me.
Nah, yeah, kids are the gift that keeps giving until they stress you out. Thank God you got a son. One day my daughter's gonna grow up and date and all that good stuff I'm going to deal with. So
hey, you better have your bad boy shit together. You know what I mean?
No, you know what? I'll have it for him, but I've already settled, as you talked about advancement, these years and we all have their time. I've settled on the fact she's gonna do the stuff she's gonna do. I'm not gonna say the word, but we know what I'm getting at here. The best thing I can do as a father is try to make it comfortable for her to come to me and talk. Because what I don't want to do is be you don't go outside, you don't do this, or this is bad. That's just gonna make her do it more and then not tell me about it. And that's how you get people pregnant at 16, 17. So it's like, let me just try to be the best dad and at times friend I can be, so I can talk her through shit and tell her what to expect. Just be honest with you. Like, this is probably what to expect if this person's acting like this. So I'm not telling you not to date them, but this is probably always going to want. You should probably look for some other characteristics. And so I'm hoping I can be that person. Now, don't get twisted. I'm still gonna be following on behind the dates real sneaky. Like, what I'm saying? I have a little tracker in her car, follow her to them. I'm gonna have it, but just gonna be more relaxed.
More low key.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So you've been watching the Verzuz battles. We'll take a quick switch. We're talking about the Verzuz. So you watching the Verzuz?
So yeah, the Verzuz has been crazy. It's been crazy to keep up with. Honestly, I usually watch them for a couple of minutes and then turn it off. The one I watched the longest, of course, I watched Jeezy and Gucci. Like I watched that from. I couldn't turn it off. Like,
why you turn them off? You don't like the songs?
Nah, bro. It's just like they don't really doing it for me. Like a lot of times they like bringing the old artists too, so you know you getting a lot of like old music, and it's like, bro, I already moved on from that. Like, I'm I'm at a different section. You know what I mean? Like, I'm somewhere else right now.
I'm a fan. I like giving the people their roses. Like I like the Gucci Jeezy one, of course. I mean, obviously they're not old. I like the Ross 2 Chainz one. Like I like reliving sometimes some of the stuff I forgot. Like even with the Ross, like Ross is very relevant. But even Ross, he got something like, oh yeah, Ross got a catalog. You know, you forget sometimes. Now I don't watch all of them. Some of them are more funny. Like as you know, I'm kind of on social media anyway. So some shit is just funny to me. Like watching, what was it? What's his name? Sean Garrett. Like he was like off an E-pill or something. Like that shit was just hilarious to watch, just to have jokes. But nah, I enjoyed it. I mean, obviously, you say Gucci and G's, that's the one we've all, I think it had 1 million viewers when they weren't even on the screen. They haven't even showed up yet. So that's, I mean, everybody I think could relate to that one. Did you ever think for a second it was gonna go left, or you thought they were just acting?
Nah, I never thought it was going to go left because they agreed to be in the same room. Like, there had to be a lot of talks for that to happen. Like, there had to be a lot of conversations to be had for them to be like,
a lot of assurances.
Yeah, you feel me? Like to be cordial and say like, okay, yo, we're gonna be in the same room. And like, so you watched it, obviously. Like you seen when he was talking about his homeboy played the song, and she's like, yo, I told you. Like, so like, I knew it was gonna be cool, but
I'm smoking at the same on Pookie Low. Yo, this nigga Gucci is a terrorist.
Yo, but the thing is, like, all right, so all that shit was fun and games, and I ain't gonna lie to you, like, I'm a Jeezy like all the way. Like I don't crazy, like I don't think I really listened to Gucci at all. Like during all these like 15 years that they was beefing, I don't really think I really listened to Gucci. Like it was hard for me to listen to Gucci, and especially, you know, we grew up in Middletown, so you know, like Middletown's like mostly like a Gucci area. Like It's like they love the way that he can't like talk, like understand. Like he sounds like from the
well, to be clear,
those guys.
I like Gucci, so I'm not in the crowd
because you like all your you like. I don't want to say no names, but you know what I'm talking about. Who's Rome and them? You know, they be sounding like they from Middletown. You know what I mean? They put their Middletown accent on. Like I can see why Middletown like sided with Gucci.
But you know what's funny? I like Gucci just because it's funny. It had nothing to do with Middletown, because I didn't like Gucci at first. I actually hated Icy. Hated the song. I didn't get on the Gucci till later on. Mixtape, Wilt Chamberlain, the movie, shit like that. And I was like, this nigga's hard. Like this nigga got some shit. And I just liked that. And it's funny. I knew they were beefing him and Jeezy because obviously that beef was from the beginning. But I just like that he had an alternate. Like you got Jeezy was like the mainstream trap dude. Him T.I. I like that Gucci was strictly just for the streets. Like Gucci was a dude that was huge, but didn't have any major hits, and that's hard to do. So I was like, I fuck with this nigga because that's telling you everything he got is organic. Like this ain't no fake, you know, I'm paying for my, not to say Jeezy was, I'm just making a point. I always appreciate that. Like, hence, if I'm gonna compare, if anybody's listening, hence the fact why I like Griselda so much now. Just homegrown. Like, your fans is home, you can't buy that.
Right.
But
the thing about like Gucci, like it's like that, just what you said. Like I respected Gucci because I'm like, yo, how do y'all even know this guy? Like, how do y'all even know who Gucci is? Like, he don't really got no music. And like, how do y'all, but then you go back and you start realizing like, oh, actually he got this, that. He had a lot of music. So
I'm assuming, to speed up, just to get this up, you would say Jeezy won.
Oh yeah.
Jeezy won. I think,
and I'm gonna tell you, Jeezy won from what the Verzuz was about. If the Verzuz was about who had the best, who dissed somebody the best, Gucci would have won. Gucci had a hard diss. He came in, it wasn't about no politics. He came in, he did what he wanted to do.
He had a hard fit too. I was fucking with his coat. What?
that nigga's a gangster rapper. I didn't like it for the.
I love the fit. He had the 50 Shades of Brown.
I didn't like it for that environment.
Jeezy, I didn't like Jeezy dressing like that, married to the TV girl. I didn't like it. It's like he's trying to relive his old. I don't like. Don't.
But that's what that was about, bro.
That's
That was
my
about
favorite.
like the catalog
That's
and
my
the
biggest gripe
classics.
with old rappers. Don't relive your old. Just be you. That's why I like Nas. Nas is aging well. Hove is aging well. Just age. Like Jeezy, I know you're not the same person. Like Jeezy's far removed. Like he's at Asian Thanksgivings and everything. Jeezy, there ain't
Well,
no
bro, he
more.
wanted to have a real estate battle, so that should tell you.
Yeah, you heard? Yeah, he was like, we got. I was like, well, I don't. Yeah.
But
Nah,
yo, that
I'll
was
say
funny.
this. I think Jeezy won. I wouldn't front. Jeezy won. I mean, by with Verzuz playing his songs, Jeezy won the way he played. Obviously, Gucci was doing a different thing. I do think but I will say this: in right now, Gucci's more relevant than Jeezy is rapping.
Hell yeah.
I haven't
Hell yeah.
really liked a lot of Jeezy's new stuff like that. Like
Me either.
I respect him. He's a legend. This ain't one of them things where it's like, what have you done for me lately? I just don't like new political Jeezy like that with the glasses and all that. I'm good up, but he gave enough to the game. I mean, I remember what it was like playing Trap or Die. Let's Get It Thug 101, 102, all the Can't Ban the Snowman. I mean, Jeezy got a catalog himself, so it was fun. What would your dream versus be?
Dream versus. I mean, I think for me, it would have to be. I would want to hear probably Jay-Z and Drake, even though I'm not really sure how that would. I'm really not sure how that would play out. Like,
well, now you
it's my dream because Drake has such a
catalog,
but like at the same time, it's just
who
like
else can battle Drake or Hove? That's what it really comes down to. I'd want to see both of them, but it'd have to be them together because when you start going, it's like, all right, who
that's
would
why,
Jay go?
bro.
It's like, who would Jay go against? And you think you would think Nas. You say Nas, and you're like, nah, it wouldn't match up just off for what Verzuz is. So it's like, nah. Then you go Drake. Oh, okay, Drake's from the new generation. Who would battle? You start thinking it wouldn't be fair for any new nigga. It wouldn't be for any people from his era, the Cuddies and the Meeks. It just wouldn't be. It would just be like, why am I watching this? You have more entertainment watching R&B Drake battle rap Drake. That'd be so.
For real, no cap. And that's the thing, like, because with Drake, he makes so much different style of music. Like, it's crazy because like when people talk about the best rapper, I never put Drake in my conversation for best rapper because I feel like he's so much more than a rapper. I feel like he's what you would call like an artist. So I'm not going to put him in the catalog. I'm not going to put him in the category of like rappers. Like Meek is a rapper. Like those are like rappers.
Yeah,
but like Drake is like a real, like Drake is like, nah, he'll sing some shit to you. He'll rap. He might come out with a dance song. Like he's so versatile, bro. He do a lot.
It's ridiculous. I would Drake and Hove definitely. I'd want to see the Neptunes battle somebody.
That's that'd be crazy.
You know what? Neptunes versus Timbaland would be dope.
That would be nuts.
Because Timbaland and Missy, if you want to combine two, just Timbaland and Missy got enough catalog. I think it'd be fun. Now you would watch 5 minutes, so you wouldn't know the songs, but I would watch the whole thing, so I would appreciate that. I'm trying to think who else. Damn, this is interesting. That got me thinking. I mean,
you could probably pull out some of them R&B niggas, like the 112 niggas. Like I would listen. I probably would fuck with.
They battled already.
Who they battle?
112 and Jagged Edge.
I missed that. I got
Jagged Edge look like they've been robbing niggas these last 10 years. They look real tough, real sketchy. When them records they selling, man, you got a mortgage is not gonna pay itself. They look. I was like, all right, I don't fuck with them in the club.
No man, but that's why I guess it's called. That's probably why it was called Jagged Edge. There was a little rough around the edges, bro. But they could sing.
There's they confirmed what Keisha and Shanti had to reschedule, so that's confirmed. And E40 verse Too Short for the Bay. I'm not even making a joke here. I don't know how many viewers that's gonna get. I respect the hell out of Too Short. E40, he's a legend. I gotta play politics. He's a legend. Nothing bad to say about E40.
But you don't want to hear tell me. But you don't want to hear tell me when to go.
I don't know what the fuck he's saying half the time. He drops these albums with like 90 songs. I don't. He has a triple disc album. What am I gonna do with that?
All right, so how about this? Who you gonna put in a versus with Chris Brown?
It's got to be R. Kelly, but he's in jail. I'm just.
I don't think and as much music as Chris Brown has, I just think from like a legacy standpoint, that would not be good for him to go in a battle with R. Kelly because R. Kelly's music is just like.
Well, R. Kelly, and let me be clear for the pod people listeners. We are not supporting R. Kelly any of his crimes.
We do not support peeing on people.
R. Kelly should be in jail for life. Now, moving just music. I mean, R. Kelly's not a lot of people he could have battled either. It would have like people bringing up Usher. I was like, it had to be R. Kelly. Like I was being funny with Chris Brown, but I'm like Usher. I'm like, it had to be R or maybe Chris. I'm like because other than that, it's not going to be fair to nobody else battling him. And I'm like, and it won't be R. Kelly because obviously he's not nobody's gonna support him. But he's probably the only dude that has enough. I mean, between writing, producing, and singing, I mean, R. Kelly could pretty much battle anybody in the industry, but that'll never happen. If Chris, maybe I guess Trey would be the favorite because they're in the same demographic. They came out at the same time. I can't think of nobody else that. It's either gonna be Trey or it's gonna be Usher. And then the Usher Chris would be funny because they both have the same amount of hits, and I'm assuming Usher probably has the bigger ones. He came from an era where radio was important. Now streaming is a little different. But even that would be a generation clash because you would have Usher generation being like he won, and you have the younger kids talk about Chris won. So I don't know how fair that would even be.
Yeah, that's true. That's part of the verses that I don't think I don't think a lot of us like even think about that. It's even like comparisons, like the Bron and Jordan. Like we won't take into consideration like why it seems so skewed, but it's all going to seem skewed depending on who you talk to. Like if you talk to a different generation, they're going to say Bron. You talk to another generation, they're going to say Jordan. So it's just the same thing.
I'm a Kobe guy. because through my formative years, he was that dude. And Bron came in 2004. But, I mean, kind of the same time. But I had already committed to Kobe. So I appreciate the hell out of Bron. And I don't think he was Jordan. Now, was I old enough to see all the Jordan games? No. But I was, as growing up in here, I guess you're growing up in the atmosphere of it. And then you grow up and see the highlights and all that. It's like, damn, Jordan was really that dude. Now, I will admit, Shannon Sharp said something funny. He was like, you got to remember all the kids that see Jordan highlights, like us and everybody else. You would think Jordan never missed a shot. And I always laugh because I'm like, I did only watch highlights growing up. I very rarely saw any Jordan bad. Like, I didn't see Jordan lose. I only hear about it. I didn't get to see Jordan, lose in Orlando. It happened, but I didn't see it. I've seen all LeBron's ups and downs. I've seen Kobe, all their ups and downs up close. So it is funny when I hear those arguments. It's funny, just like because we black folks, sports always comes up somehow. I guess to end it, I will say I respect LeBron. I think he's going to statistically be the best player ever. I don't think it's going to be close. I think he's probably going to end up being an all-time leading scorer, and he's going to have like 13,000 rebounds and probably 12,000 assists, or even it's going to be something that doesn't make sense. But I still am Jordan. I'm still Jordan, Kobe, Bron. That's just who I am.
Same, bro. I love Bron, and the thing is though, I love Bron in a different type of way. I try to not to even compare the guys, because they all bring their own thing. But I really love Bron for like the off the court stuff, like to be able to be as great as he is on the court, and then still have enough capacity mentally, physically to take on what he does off the court in terms of like the community is just. It puts him in his own lane. All those guys, they all in their own lanes. I don't ever feel like compelled to like have to compare them. Like it's cool for conversation to talk. Well, this guy did this, that guy did that, but I would be fine without it. If we never ever had another comparison argument of those three guys, I will be perfectly.
I'm with you too. I just love to appreciate them for all their moments, all their legendary moments. All right, man. TC, got anything to plug?
If you have any real estate needs, if you want to learn about how to get into real estate, definitely plug in with me on all socials. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter. Just search Legends Dad, it'll come up. But my real estate website is TerrenceClarkRE.com. And from there, if you're interested in any of the Problem Solvers merch, we got t-shirts and hoodies right now. That could be found on that website as well. And then for my podcast, it's only on IG right now. working through a couple of the little nuances of starting a podcast. I'm pretty new until we get to some of these other platforms. But yeah, that's on Instagram. So if you find me on there, definitely tune in. It's really just about that mindset, building a mindset, and learning from people who was going through the same types of things that you are. So yeah, get with me, and I appreciate you bringing me on here, bro. That's much love.
Of course, man. It's always love. Love you. Love you. Problem Solvers merch. I gotta get me a t-shirt and a hoodie, so I'm definitely looking into that. And you know, hey, listeners, I hope you enjoy TC. Get at him on his socials. Get at him. Get some merch. You know what I'm saying? If you see him right now, we doing it. We growing our hair. We going. You know, we keeping it natural. I'm gonna start growing mine too. I'm not, but I'm just gonna say I am. Nah, man, this is my man's, man. I want you to support him, man. Hit him out for real estate needs, all that. He said he know cars. I don't know if he sell cars anymore, but he knows he can tell you how to get the right type of deal. He just a
I
hustler.
wouldn't even talk about that.
We
That's
didn't.
crazy. But if you are in the market for a car, though, definitely hit me up. I do that on the side. But yeah, definitely hit me up about that for
You do
sure.
everything on the side. Vending machines, cars. You might even fix your car. So, you know what I'm saying? That's the episode. It's a wrap.